friends, and welcome to another episode of the Urban Homesteading channel. If this is your first visit to our channel, we want to extend to you a very warm welcome. If you're a returning viewer or you're a subscriber, welcome back. We're really appreciating you visiting again. If today is your birthday, we want to wish you a very happy birthday. Today we have another fun episode with you, or what we hope is a fun episode for you. And that is a build that anyone can do, right, Mrs. Wizard?
Absolutely.
This is a very simple, actually there are 3 projects, so you get 3 for 1. What a deal, right? No extra charge.
Bargain.
And we're going to use, again, our favorite wood, which is cedar pickets, and some dollar wood. The dollar store has some really good deals, especially if you don't have a lot of equipment to mill your own wood, right?
Yeah, to make small crafts is
Right.
definitely a good buy.
So if you stick around, we're going to show you how we transformed one of these cedar cut-offs to one of these organization cubes. You like my name?
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is, an organization cube.
Yep.
Also, using the same cedar, we build a beautiful frame, and we also build a coaster or trivet. Again, you can change the dimensions of this, right? And they can be multi-purpose. And also, this is the same project. That's why we don't say 4 projects. Using wood from the dollar store, we built this version, which you can see
Has a lower profile.
a much lower profile. Now, if you master this, if you master miters and straight cuts, you can build 90% of what you need to build in woodworking, right?
Yep.
And also, just think about it. If you take these and you turn them to each side, you created a shadow box. The same process, building, right?
Yep.
You just rotate them. So with projects, let your imagination run wild and you're going to be successful. As always, we're going to show you how we did this so you can do it yourself. So before you start any cutting, you need to make sure that your saw, whatever saw you're using, is actually correctly dialed for the degrees you want. In this case, we've dialed our saw for 45 degrees. So we're using a 45 degree, it's not a squared anymore, but what you will call it.
Yeah, it's an angle filer.
And as you can see, we are perfectly aligned there, right?
Yep.
So when you're making 45s, the other critical component is that the pieces, the parallel pieces, have to be identical. Even if they are an eighth of an inch off dimension, they will not align correctly, right? They will be
Yep.
too long or too short. So let's do our first cut here. When you're making frames, your short side will be inside the frame, the inside of the frame. Does it make sense?
Yep.
So your angle has to be this way as you see it here, right?
Yep.
And we got a nice clear cut, right?
Yep.
Okay. Now, because we do not measure anything in this channel, we're going to go to our piece of art and we're going to use it as our dimension setting, right? So because we do not really like to measure in our channel, we're going to use our piece of art to actually dimension our frame, right?
Right.
We have made the first 45, and now the key is to make the second 45, right? What is the dimension we need? And you want your piece of art to fit inside your frame. That's the important thing.
Right. You want it to overlap the picture itself so that it completely covers it, but not so far into the picture that you obscure a good
Right.
portion of it, right? So you want to give it a good, quarter, 3/8 of an inch here on the corner. So it's where the next piece of frame will meet. And this is just a scrap piece we used. It's not the actual piece we're going to use, but you can see that it's about 3/8 of an inch in. So you can see it's pretty consistent from the top to the edge here where this ends. So we're going to mark this side so that we can create the same angle. So we're going to use this as our mark.
Spending a little time here will pay you heavy dividends in a very good corner.
And And then
Okay.
because it needs to be the opposite, we're gonna have to transfer this mark to the other side.
And you can use a square there, a piece of wood like Mrs. Wizard uses. You can use anything you want to do that, right? You just need to, and it depends on the saw you're using too. All right, so back to the miter saw. So we're trying to maximize our wood, and also you shouldn't make 45s on knots. While they have character, they will just separate
Not
and
stable.
will mess up your corner. All right.
Yep.
So here is an exploded view of our frame, and as you can see, we're now ready to assemble it. This will be a very simple frame. We'll not have a rabbit to accept the picture in the back, right? But you definitely can embellish it. We assume these are projects for swap with very, very few tools, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have a router or any way to make a rabbit, we are not going to do one for this frame. It will be a very simple, rustic frame that will just display your art, right?
Yep.
Now, glue is enough for this project. You don't need more than glue. We are going to use more than glue because we need to finish. We cannot wait for glue to dry, in other words, right? So we're going to hit a staple, and that's it.
Okay.
But it's not needed. Now, we're not sponsored, but in general, we use Titebond glue products, right?
Yep.
We bought that with our own money. This was not provided for us. You can use whatever glue you want. I prefer Titebond. All right, so Mrs. Wizard, if you want to start. We did not follow our own advice here, and we did not test the glue on a scrap piece first, so we had difficulties making the glue flow because we've not
It
used
is
this glue
thick.
before. It's supposed to be thick.
Yep. Well, it is.
Do we need to open it more?
It's the first time we're using this glue, and it was much thicker than we anticipated, so we need to create a larger opening for the glue to flow more easily.
So we do have a band sewing for expediency.
Expediency.
We're going to use the band sewing. What we're doing is taking some of our scrap cedar, and we're going to cut them to dimension, right?
Yep.
So let's do that.
Power is helpful.
Power is overrated, right? So we have created a dry fit for our coaster here, and again you can use just glue for this purpose, but because we need to record and finish and show you the finished project, we're going to hit it with a brad nail on each connection, right? But glue is perfectly fine for this project.
Yep.
So a dab of glue, of glue wherever you want to connect it, and that would be plenty. Dimensions are up to you, right, love?
Yep. Dimensions are completely up to you.
And we kind of like it the way it is. If you want it to look thinner, you can use a different thickness wood, right?
Yeah. This one is a little bit thick for a typical coaster, but I think it will do just fine. So we could have thinned this out some.
For example, this might be the thickness that most people like, more people like, not most, right?
Yeah.
It
It's
can be
about
either.
3/8.
Yeah.
Yep.
And this, by the way, will give you 1 or 2 coasters, and it is $1 from the dollar store. So that is a very inexpensive wood.
I'm just gonna make sure it's all lined up here where I want it before we apply the glue. Remove that.
And put a dab in all your pieces, and then you might want to use your finger to hold them or not.
I'm gonna redo it.
Your eyes are an excellent tool to guide you when you space things apart.
Depending on how fast your glue dries, this might be a step that you need to be really hurried. Ours is a reasonably fast drying glue, but it's not an instant glue.
Most certainly, this is a project you can use instant glue, but most wood glues will allow you to move the piece within 20 minutes to 30 minutes in any
So
case.
here we are. I flipped it over, so now you can see the skids underneath. It looks a little palette, but it's perfect for a cup of coffee, or even if you have a small dish that you've cooked with and it's hot, you could use it as a little tiny trivet. But it's definitely great because cedar is, naturally kind of water resistant, and it'll last a long time even if you set something that's wet on it or it creates some sort of steam.
And you can scale it up and make a trivet, or you can put a plant on your desk.
Yeah,
At
even
work?
one of the little ones.
Right.
It's definitely a nice thing to be able to support even a good amount of weight, because cedar is very strong even
Well,
though it's
this
light.
can support the person. I mean, that's
Yep.
not,
Yep.
weight, strength is not an issue at all. But use your imagination. These are little things that you can use for a lot of things.
And we could have done it in any real design. We could have made it solid all the way across.
Right.
We could have made some zigzag or even rounded the corners into a more, rounded shape.
But the assembly process will be the same. I mean, you need some pieces to be the stretchers
Mm-hmm.
and some pieces to connect them, and that's about it, right?
Yep. And again, I'll flip it over so you can kind of see. It's one brad and a little dab of glue, and we're going to clean that up as soon as it dries. And I'm going to give it a little touch of sanding so it's nice and smooth.
And again, if you don't have a brad nail, just wait for it to dry.
Yep.
The brad nail is only for our purposes. It's really not needed, right?
Right.
Okay. So for comparative purposes, since we know that not everyone has the same kind of taste, right? We like this look, but not everyone would like this look. So we made another one, identical way, right? The methodology is the same, nothing changes. To show you the difference, as you can see, this is much thinner, right?
Yep. It is got a different profile, and that's really just a matter of taste.
But the same functionality.
Yep.
And this we made with wood from the dollar store. One of these planks is $1. We have this much left after we build this,
Yep.
which means for $2 you can make 3 coasters.
You certainly could.
So that is a pretty good deal, right?
Yep.
Especially with the lumber being as expensive. And the advantage of this, you don't have to mill anything. You just have to make straight cuts.
Yep. And we did again touch it up with a little bit of sanding, but we used the same attachment process of a little dab of glue on either end, as well as a brad nail.
And we are talking 15 minutes probably, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you make all your cuts before, you can probably make 3 in under half an hour.
Definitely. It took us about 10 minutes to make this one.
So it is not a very difficult project and requires, again, minimal tools. We wanted to make this series for people that don't have a big shop. Not that we have a big shop, but we do have tools that most people don't have, right?
Yeah.
So we did not use any of those heavy-duty tools.
As we very often said in our channel, consistency is much more important than accuracy. And if you try to measure those pieces, and we need 12 of them, you will more than likely end up with pieces that are not all the same length. By using either stops or using one piece as a storyboard to cut the rest, you're going to have a much more consistent result, and you are going to avoid having any waste or having very dissimilar lengths. Again, do not get hung up on accuracy. In most woodworking projects, it is far more important to be consistent.
So we're going to make a little pickets now, and we've put a stop, so we know exactly where it is, and we're going to make 2 cuts per board.
Dog ears.
No gears? And you simply rotate it and cut again. And we're going to do that 24 times total, right?
Yep.
All right. So we have all our pickets cut, and we're going to create 4 panels of 3 pickets width, and then we're going to connect the panels together in a what is called not a continuous,
Wraparound.
in a wraparound manner, so they will all have the same dimension. If you don't do that, you will end up with 2 different dimensions. Again, it's a matter of taste, right?
Right.
We want it square. If you don't want it square, don't make it square.
Yep.
So we set a piece of wood with a clamp on our workbench. So we're going to have a very straight bottom for our pickets, right? Is that what it's called?
Yep. Make sure they're all in line.
And then we're going to use glue, and you wait for it to dry, or you use some other fastening method if you're impatient.
Like us.
We're not impatient.
So each of these panels is the same size, same dimension. And if you make the same orientation on this end versus this end, you're going to come out with a rectangle. And that's because there's overlap here at the end.
Only on one side, but not the other.
Correct. So
Let's change the dimension.
what we need to do is what we call a wraparound, which is we move, it's like a spiral almost of how the boards fit together around the center.
And you end up with a perfect square if your sides are the same dimensions.
Yep.
And here, this is what it will look like, and we are going to just attach it now, but you get an idea of the final product. About cost. The effective cost for us was zero because we use material we already had, right?
Right.
But if you don't, for example, this, you don't need even a full piece of the board you buy from the dollar store, right? So this will be $1 if you make one, or $2 if you make three, because you have about that much left.
Right. And
From
we
the
only
board.
made one coaster out of that at this size, so we could get 2 or 3 additional
Right.
coasters as a set through with 2 boards.
Depending how you design it, right?
Yep.
These are a little bit on the large size, right?
Yeah, they're a little bit wider than your average cup of coffee.
But you could put like a glass of wine. I mean, this is,
Yep.
Smaller
it's
than
very
a trivet.
sturdy.
yeah. And these, we built the box and the other coaster we built with remnants of another one of our cedar projects. But when you talk about cost, you can make a lot of those. And you can probably take 4 of those out of a board
Yes.
with ease. And a board is $4. So this is $1 per unit.
Yep.
Much more economical than it might seem, and of course it will last forever. And oh my God, we don't have smell vision, right? Cedar smells amazing, doesn't it?
Yes.
So if you were to buy everything today for your material, you're talking about a $5, $4 for a cedar board, and $1 for this, right?
Yep.
And if you wanted to make more of those, again, you multiply that. But a very straightforward. Even with making a full set of coasters, you're looking at under $10 for material.
Yep.
Okay. Well, friends, and here are our finished products right here. They came out very nicely. I really love this, don't you?
That's a very nice picture, and it's a very rustic drawing and a rustic frame to go with it.
That frame matches the art very well.
Yep.
Well, we hope you did enjoy this episode, as we hope you enjoy all of our episodes. And if you did, a thumbs up will be greatly appreciated. If you didn't, hit the other button twice. Share, like, subscribe. Let us know what else you might want to watch in future episodes of our channel. From Dr. Wizard and Mrs. Wizard, stay safe, friends.